Hi, everybody. Good evening and welcome to the ACHA Power Play here on the Captain Lou Sports Network and here on achahockey.org. That's right. We are back with the ACHA Power Play. And again, it's been a while since we've had this exclusive Power Play here on Michigan Sport or on here on the Captain Lou Sports Network, but we are back and just excited to be able to bring it to you here. My name is Captain Lou, as you can probably see on the screen. Little history on the program. We started this, I think it was back in 2016, if I'm not mistaken, the fall of 2016. We started just doing the Division III teams and the schedules and everything. I was more involved with the D3 in the ACHA, but now we kind of expanded it over a couple of years, and we kind of had to take a little hiatus, but that hiatus is over and we're back here and excited to be able to bring this to you on a regular basis. And again, you can catch all the episodes on my YouTube channel, which is the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube. I invite you to subscribe there. And also the programs will be on our website on achahockey.org. So again, what the ACHA Power Play is, for those of you that may be tuning in for the first time, we're going to exclusively do ACHA hockey, and here we're going to have the coaches on the network. Or on the show rather, some great interviews tonight. For example, we're going to be talking to Dan Huntley. He is the head coach of the University of Mary, the men's D2 team, back-to-back national champions, looking to go for three-peat in their quest before they go to D1 in 2023. Also coming up at 8 o'clock Eastern time here in the third half hour of our show. We're going to be joined by Tyler Cataline. He is the head coach of Central Michigan. They had a good run in the national tournament this past year down in St. Louis as well. So we're going to try to get a couple of coaches each week on the show. Hopefully get some players. We'll get some broadcasters throughout the year. We'll get some of the administrators on, Craig Barnett, Dave Kurtz. We'll also get some of the commissioners in each of the divisions. Our goal anyways is to get all 5 of the division commissioners throughout the year. A lot to talk about throughout the year. It's funny is we always say it's 6 months in September. It's 6 months from now. We'll be in Boston for the national tournament. But we all know that 6-month span goes quick. Before you know it, it's going to be February. We're going to be talking about seeding in Division II for their regional tournaments, which are always just so much fun to be a part of. And then we'll start talking about seeding in Division I, the rankings, who's in, who's not, with the automatic bids and all that. So it really is a lot of fun to be a part of each and every week. And we can't wait to bring it to you on a weekly basis. We're going to start out probably every other week through the end of October into November. And then once the heat picks up here on the ACHA Power Play with the season going through, we will go on a weekly basis. We'll be live every Tuesday night with our broadcast when we do this throughout the year. So invite you to, maybe take a few minutes out of your time and watch us on Tuesday nights. Again, it will be available on the achahockey.org website, or you can just look up my YouTube channel, which is the Captain Lou Sports Network. I've got some of my other podcasts that I do on there. It's a lot of fun to watch, and we get some great dialogue back and forth here on the show. And I, again, can't wait to be a part of it with you again this year. So again, this is the ACHA Power Play. We're powered up by Belly Up Sports, by the way, and the Belly Up network of podcasts. And they are a great network. We've got all kinds of podcasts on this network, anywhere from football, of course, to hockey, women's college hockey, for example. Beffy does a great job with that. I invite you to take a look at her podcast. But we've got so many, from fantasy sports to wrestling to football, basketball, and of course, hockey. And baseball coming around the corner. So we are powered up by the Belly Up Sports network of podcasts. So again, welcome. We'll be saying that throughout the night here on the show. So welcome here to the ACHA Power Play with yours truly, Captain Lou, here with you. Again, our theme throughout the year of 2022, 2023, the academic year, for lack of a better word, or the hockey year is we are on the road to Boston. That's right. The 2023 national tournament is going to be in Boston. We'll have more details on that throughout the year. All I can tell you is it is from March 16th through the 21st. All 5 divisions are going to be in the same building this year, pretty much like it was down in St. Louis, except for I think there was in 2 locales down there, but they're all going to be in one specific setting. And that's going to be just outside. I think it's Marlborough, Massachusetts. And once we get closer to that, of course, we will bring you all the details. And we're going to be there. I'm going to be there in the Nationals again this year. I've had the privilege of being a part of the Nationals broadcast teams for the last 6 years, starting in Division III in Grand Rapids, and then going to Columbus when they started doing all the teams in one location. And it's kind of cool is we've kind of teamed up with the NHL and their cities bidding on the tournament. And it's just been a rousing success throughout the expansion of doing it all in one spot. We were in Columbus, Ohio in 17 and 18. And then, of course, in 19, we were down in Dallas, in Frisco, Texas. That was a lot of fun. And then, unfortunately, like everything else, COVID hit us in 2020, just literally as we were getting ready to go down there. It was like a week before the national tournament. The tickets were purchased, the whole 9 yards. And so, we were supposed to go down there. And then 2021 was brought back in separate settings because of COVID. I know the D1 tournament was in St. Louis. D2 was in Minot, North Dakota. D3 was in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And of course, the women's D1 was in Minot State. But last year, everybody was able to congregate in St. Louis, and it was one heck of a time. We were treated to such excellent hockey last year. Some of the game, we'll go through some of the scores a little bit later on. And we'll talk to Dan Huntley again from the University of Mary. They took on Florida Gulf Coast in the finals, and that went triple overtime. And it's funny, that wasn't even the longest game. There was a 5 overtime game. Central Oklahoma was victorious in a five overtime thriller. And so a lot of great hockey in all 5 divisions. And it's what I love about the ACHA, amongst other things, is the interaction with the kids, with the parents, and the coaches. And I will say off the bat that the cooperation, I'm so blessed to be a part of it, being able to get a lot, the accessibility from the coaches and from the administrators, and helping get the word out of the ACHA, because it is a fun organization. 500 schools, 500 teams, I should say. A lot of the schools have multiple teams in the 5 divisions, and it's growing and it's expanding all over. Not only the hockey hotbeds in the Northeast and in the South and the Midwest. Now we're getting more and more teams down in the Southwest part of the United States, Arizona. UNLV is a powerhouse now in Division I in the men's side. They made it to the national tournament. We got teams now like Oregon and San Diego State, teams like that, UCLA. So it's fun to watch it grow, and it's going to keep growing. And this is our 31st year in the ACHA with this organization being in existence, I should say. And so it's going to be a fun year this year, as I mentioned. We'll probably repeat that I don't know how many times, but it's great to be a part of it. It's great to be back doing the ACHA Power Play here on achahockey.org, and of course the Captain Lou Sports Network. All of this helped being powered up, as I mentioned, by the Belly Up Sports network of podcasts, and I'm blessed to be a part of that network as well. A lot of great folks behind the scenes there, giving us the opportunity to make this possible, doing this podcast, the ACHA Power Play. And we're excited to be back. Welcome, everybody. Hope you enjoy this. Hope you enjoy the interviews that we do throughout the year with, again, from coaches to broadcasters to players to administrators. And it's going to be fun. And it's it's, hopefully you learn something from it, and you get to know some of the new coaches and some of the coaches, not just hockey, but, some of their personalities as well. So again, welcome everybody. And let's have a fun ride this year as we get on our way to the road to Boston starting tonight. I know there's games this weekend. A lot of the teams are in action. They've started already, but I know some of the games are going to be picking up in earnest this weekend. For example, University of Mary, the Marauders are going to be taking on Waldorf University, team in the Midwest. So for a home and home, I believe, or maybe a pair in North Dakota. But let's get right into it, shall we? As what I thought we would do here, obviously, the rankings for the Division I really start in November in earnest, but the preseason rankings are out, and it's always fun to look at those. We talked about the national tournament. We'll get into that a little bit. Actually, we'll start with that. Let's go. We talked about we talked about the national tournament in St. Louis. Some great games. We talked about the 5 overtime game, for example, with Central Oklahoma and Iowa State. They won 3-2 in 5 overtimes. What a thrilling game that was. The national champions, of course, Lindenwood University, and there's going to be a brand new national champion this year because Lindenwood, they bumped up to the NCAA D1 level. So, but congratulations to them. Rick Zombo, the head coach, and his crew. Just a great performance for them throughout the tournament. In the semifinals, they took care of Adrian by the score of 5-1. And then they went on to the championship game to beat Central Oklahoma 8-3. But what can you say about Central Oklahoma in that game, or in that tournament that they had? Not only did they start out with a big win to open up the tournament, they then were playing Indiana Tech before that. And they went to overtime against Indiana Tech and won by the score of 2-1 in just one overtime. That's all it was. Then they went up to their next opponent being on that Sunday afternoon against Iowa State. And Iowa State, boy, played them tough. Not 1 overtime, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 overtimes. So Central Oklahoma was able to weather that storm. Then they went into the semifinals, still had some gas in the tank to take on UNLV and won 4-2, but then ran into the buzzsaw that was Lindenwood last year. And of course, they fell by the score of 8-3. Lindenwood got to the championship game by defeating the defending national champions, that being Adrian College, by the score of 5-1. So an exciting national tournament there as well. In Division II last year, it was the University of Mary, as we mentioned. They took on Florida Gulf Coast 3 overtimes. Why not? They tried to outdo that game with Central Oklahoma, but into the 3rd overtime, it was Dan Huntley's squad getting the back-to-back national championship with that win over Florida Gulf Coast in triple overtime. So I got to tell you, just amazing games throughout the tournament in Division II. They had pool play. They won their pool and then got into the semifinal game as again, they took on, in the semifinals, they took on Lindenwood and won 6-1. Florida Gulf Coast played the Dakota College of Bottineau and beat them 4-1. And then, of course, 3-2 in triple overtime. I believe Gulf Coast was ahead in that game, and the University of Mary had to come back and tie it up in the 3rd period, and then went into that first 2 overtime periods scoreless. It was back and forth action. I watched it. I stayed up as long as I could for that one, caught the replay of it, and the game-winning goal in that 3rd overtime. So, and then in Division III, it was Hope College winning back-to-back national championships. What can you say about Division III? Again, dominated by the Michigan Collegiate Hockey Conference. They won 3 out of the 4 pools. Arkansas, they tried their best to oust Hope. That was a rematch of the 2021 national championship game played in Grand Rapids. And again, this one went into overtime. Arkansas was up 2-0. And then Hope College scored 3 unanswered, won that game in overtime 3-2, about 12 minutes into overtime, I think it was, on a snipe from just outside the blue line, or outside the face-off circle. So they won 3-2. Michigan defeated Grand Valley 4-3. Grand Valley was up 3-2 in that one. Michigan scored 2 unanswered to win that one. And then it was a rematch of a semifinal game from last year, from the year previous, that went into overtime, where Hope was down 3-0 in the semifinal 2 years ago, came back and won in overtime. This time they were able to edge Michigan by the score of 2-1. And then in the women's D1, it was Liberty again. Boy, you talk about a powerhouse program there. Chris Lowe's squad won by the score of 5-1. Got a message from Chris. He's going to join us on our next program, by the way. Our next broadcast will be in October. He was unable to make it tonight with he's on the recruiting trail, and he had a commitment to a call there. But we'll get him on here probably in October. If not the first broadcast in October, we'll get him on. He's always very gracious with his time, by the way, too. So we'll get him on as well. Liberty took on Midland in the finals last year and won by the score of 5-1. And finally in D2, it was Assiniboine. The last time the D2 division played in 2019 rather, they were victorious, and they won again, this time against the Dakota College of Bottineau by the score of 2-1. So kind of a quick look back at the Nationals last year. And again, everything's coming to congregate in Boston. The road to Boston starts in, I'd say 6 months from now. Let's count it. October, November, December, January. Yeah. 6 months from today, we will be knee deep in tournament action in Marlborough, Massachusetts. Knee deep in pool play probably for D2 and D3 in the women's bracket in D1, the men's bracket in D1, pool play in D2 for the women. Yeah, it's all there. 6 months from today. So the countdown has started. The road to Boston here on the ACHA Power Play. Well, hey, thanks, everybody for joining us here tonight. Again, yours truly, Captain Lou, with you, as you can see on the screen. We are going to be joined here probably in about 13 minutes by Dan Huntley from the University of Mary. He's going to swing by and we'll recap a little bit of their season in 2022 and the run that they've had over the past few years, and then we'll look ahead to 2023 for them, talk a little bit about the schedule that they've got coming up. And it's going to be a dandy. They're going to be transitioning after this year to Division I. So, and you talk about a hockey hotbed. We've talked to them on some of my other shows throughout the years, with Dakota College, with Jamestown, with, talking about the Jimmies, about Minot State. That North Dakota area, all these Division I powers or ACHA powers, men's and women's, it's incredible. And it's become a destination spot for a lot of teams to come and travel there. We'll talk to Dan a little bit about that. And again, coming up at the top of the next hour will be Tyler Cataline, the head coach of Central Michigan's Division III squad. They had a run had a nice run in the Nationals down in St. Louis, and I know they're ready to take that next step to get back into the Final Four. They've tasted that a couple of times, and I know they want to get that next step further. We'll talk to Tyler about that coming up in the second hour. We'll be on till approximately 8:15, 8:20 here tonight, so we hope that you enjoy the program and be a part. If you want to leave any feedback on the show, please feel free to do that. My email address is sweetlou1965@yahoo.com, or you can follow me on Twitter @RealCaptainLou, or on my Facebook page, Lewis Gamlin. And positive or negative, don't care. Take it all in stride. And any suggestions, any questions, whatever, please don't hesitate to drop those for us here tonight. So, we just touched on it briefly earlier in the show, and the rankings are out for the preseason rankings in Division I are out. You can see them on the website, achahockey.org. We thought we'd take a look at those for you real quick, if I can bring those up. And you can see scrolling right on the bottom of the screen there, Central Oklahoma. We talked about them as the darlings of the tournament last year with that 5 overtime win, the single overtime win over Indiana Tech, over Frank DeCristofaro's squad. they're at the top of the rankings now. As we mentioned, Lindenwood, the defending champs, they bumped up to NCAA. So there's going to be a new champion this year. So Central Oklahoma, they've got the ranking. They're number 1. And as we go through the list, you can see it right on the bottom of the screen. UNLV, they're ranked number 2 so far this year. You got Adrian College, Gary Astalis' team. They're ranked at number 3. Minot State, back usually where they're at number 4. And then you've got Liberty, who made a strong run into the national tournament. They're at number 5 this week. And coming in at number 6 in the poll is Stony Brook. Number 7 is Ohio. They're always a national power. It seems like they're always hanging around, making the national tournament, and always with their presence felt. Indiana Tech, we just talked about them. Frank DeCristofaro's squad. There's another team, an interesting team. They've kind of they've worked their way up, and I've had the good fortune of following them throughout the years as they bumped up from D3 to NAIA for a couple of years, back into the ACHA fold, up to D1. They're defending WAC champions, Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference champions. They've won the national or their tournament a couple of times. They're ranked 8th this year so far to start the season. At number 9 is Maryville. And finally, at number 10 is Missouri State. We saw them in the national tournament as well. Checking in at 11 through 20, Pittsburgh. They're at number 11. Number 12, Jamestown. They're usually always in the national tournament. And their defensive brand of hockey always gives teams fits. Number 13, Niagara. You talk about a program that's working their way up as well. Illinois, they're always usually right there. Number 15, Michigan Dearborn. There's a team that has a lot of history of success. Right behind them at number 16 is Arizona. Arizona getting into the national tournament last year, as is Michigan Dearborn. Both of those teams actually played each other last year in the opening round, and Michigan Dearborn won that one 2-1. That was an exciting game. Aquinas College at number 17. They've got a new coach this year. Jordan Promoda stepped down after a 9-year run at Aquinas, and Kyle Gagnon will be taking over as the new head man for the ACH or for the Aquinas College Saints. They're usually a perennial team in the Nationals. Another team like Indiana Tech, they started out in Division III back in 2014, got to the finals in 2016 in D3, won it all in 17, got to the national tournament in D2 in 18 and 19. They got there, or I'm sorry, in 18 they went NAIA, won that tournament. In 19 they were at D2 level in Dallas, and then in 2021 they made the national tournament, and they were close last year, didn't quite get in. Right on the outside looking in, they're looking to get back to the national tournament. Davenport right behind them at 18. There's another program with a brand new coach. They're always there too. Another Michigan product in the Great Lakes Conference. They'll be a force to be reckoned with throughout the year. Utah at 19 and Arizona State at 20. And finally, in the bottom 5, you got Rhode Island at 21, and then Delaware and Lawrence Tech both tied at 22, and then Midland coming in at 24, and then Drexel at 25. So these are your preseason rankings. How it works is we've got they will base these on computer rankings. There's a formula that, again, I'm going to have to do my homework on that computer ranking, but and how it works. But I do know that they also have automatic bids for the conference champions. I believe there's 8 of them now. Again, I'll be more versed on that once we get to our next show. But I know we do have conference automatic bids, like the Great Lakes Conference, the WAC Conference, some of the other ones throughout the area, the Midwest. So, and then you've got the at-large teams that get the last 12, for example. So to make up the 20-team format, where it's single elimination in Division I. And whereas some of the other divisions, D2 and D3 in the men's, are pool play. The women's D1, I believe, is a double elimination tournament. And then the women's D2 is pool play as well. So So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. The men's rankings will again start out in November weekly. You'll be able to catch up on those as well. But a lot of these teams, as we mentioned, play starts this weekend. Some of it has started last weekend. That's why we thought we would start the Power Play podcast back up this week, kind of get our feet wet a little bit, kind of get back in the action. On our next show, we'll get you more scores. We'll run down some of the highlights of some of the big games. Some of the goal scorers will give you nation leaders and all the conference or all the divisions as far as scoring, goaltending and whatnot. So we'll have a lot of information to go over with you throughout the year on that. It's always cool to get some of the different names out for the ACHA. We talk, another reason that I have really grown to love this association, the ACHA, is, all the effort, these kids are playing for the love of the game. A lot of them don't get scholarships. A lot of them, this is their own dime. And, on top of the studies, a lot of them, they've got to come together to figure out fundraisers and whatnot. It's an organization within the team. And, they don't always get the best times for the ice times. And so they got to juggle their schedules around that. And a lot of these kids, this may be their last stop as far as playing collegiate hockey or organized hockey. You start to see a few get sprinkled in playing at the minor league level, not many. So for a lot of these guys and gal women, this is it. This is their last stop. And you can see, you get to the national tournaments in Division II, you get to the regional tournaments, you see they leave it all out, man. And, I've had the privilege of watching these, as I mentioned, broadcasting a lot of them. And as much fun as it is to watch some of these games and be a part of these overtime thrillers, it's just as agonizing to see the kids, the ones that lose. To paraphrase or to quote a high school football coach that I have a coaches show with in some of the other things that I do here in Michigan. There's only one coach that's happy and one group of players that's happy at the end of the year. The rest of them, they're disappointed because they weren't able to take that next step. But you can see the passion. You can see the true love that is in it with these men and women that play this wonderful game of hockey at the collegiate level. And, it's a great opportunity for them. We've talked a lot of times about how there's only 70 teams at the NCAA D1 level. So there's a lot of opportunity there's a lot of college kids that still want to play. And they see these colleges from the University of Mary to the University of Michigan Dearborn to Florida Gulf Coast to UNLV to some of the colleges, Stony Brook out east, Michigan State, Ohio State, you name it, any of the schools that give them an opportunity. They say, you know what, I'm going to go to school and I'm going to play hockey too. And it might be that extra reason for them to go to a particular school to be able to play hockey here at the University of wherever. So anyways, why don't we do this? Let's bring in the coach of the University of Mary. It's Dan Huntley, and we'll talk a little hockey with him. But first, I got to ask you, Dan, I know you gave me a little bit of a shot the other day when we were talking on the phone about the Lions. Hey, we're both in first place. I haven't been able to say that in quite a long time.
That's a good place to share with you, man.
And then we get to do battle with you guys on Sunday, man. I'm looking forward to that. I won't be able to watch it. I'll be out in Spokane with my wife out traveling, but I'll be keeping tabs on it. So make sure you cheer for the Lions a little bit for me.
Yeah, you bet. You got it.
So on that note, before we get into the into the meat and potatoes of the interview, Dan, what as a head coach, I know some of you've told me in the past about some of your other interests. I know it's hockey season; you're knee deep in it. Do you follow any other sports like that besides being a Vikings fan?
Well, on the peripheral, you try to follow a little bit of everything, and everybody's got a busy schedule. And it's, I guess you find a different team that really kind of plays the style that you like, and you like to follow it, and sometimes you love to hate those teams, but there's a little bit that, I wouldn't say that I'm a football follower, but here's an opportunity, and The Vikings have had a few decent seasons here, but it's Sunday afternoons have usually been taken up the last few years with hockey, and we're playing a lot of Saturday Sunday series, so you miss out on some of that stuff, and you miss those days off, and now it's even less since May. I've been the interim AD as well here at the University of Mary, and so there's not a lot of free minutes.
How are you able to juggle all that? It always fascinates me that you can do the dual roles like that, especially when you're out recruiting and, the practices and everything. Your organizational skills have to be on top all the time.
Well, you wake up at 3 a.m. and you sit up and you think of the list of things that you have to do in the morning, and then you try to fall back asleep, and you try to get at them. Right now it seems like I'm just falling behind every day, and you try to do everything that you can to at least keep your coaches that we're overseeing happy, so that they can keep their student athletes happy. And then when 3:45 rolls around, I focus on our hockey guys and get to practice and have that opportunity to be with them and focus on that portion of what I do. And then get home and try to relax a little bit and say hi to my wife every once in a while. And you go to bed and you start over again. So it's been it's a fun opportunity to lead our athletic department and be part of our administrative team, but it's also a very time consuming thing as well.
You sound like your wife probably sounds like mine. My wife says she's a football and hockey widow now until April. So
yeah.
Good company.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, before we get into this year, Dan, I'd be remiss without kind of looking back at the last season. It was a fun run for you guys, culminating with that national championship, your second in a row. But oh my goodness, we talked about it right after you won. It wasn't quite a cakewalk. Not that we expected one, but a triple overtime game and some thrillers just to get there to that national championship game. Wow, what a run! And I got to say, how did you get through those first two overtimes?
I don't know. I mean, for me, I could just sit back and relax. Really, there's not a lot I can do other than, we were playing 3 lines and 3 sets of D. And so that pretty much just, they rolled themselves. And, so there wasn't a lot of, hey, what are we going to do? Who's going out next? Any of those kind of things. We kept with our plan and, really, just focused on getting through each of those shifts and try to limit mistakes. And it was a up and down game, obviously, with, almost 70 shots from both teams. Mm-hmm. A pretty exciting one for the fan base, and both goalies were tremendous. It was just going to come down to, exactly what it was. And usually what happens in a game like that, there's an opportunity in tight and somebody slips one in somehow and it goes in, and that's what happened. And but on the other side of that, we Seth Cushing scored that goal in the final for us, and that was his sixth game-winning goal in 10 national tournament games. And the guy's clutch. He's figured out how to do it at certain times, and it's, we're lucky we have him on our team. And then we played well enough to win, and Florida Gulf Coast threw everything at us and did everything they could. And it was talking to their coaches afterwards and the next day. It wasn't even about the game. It was just think about what just happened. How hard these guys worked, how much it means to these kids, the people in the crowd, our institution, what happened when we got back on campus and how they treated us. And we had police escorts and all kinds of things from the airport coming into the arena and large crowd to welcome us back. And just, that recognition is so special. Those guys will remember that forever. And those things you can't take away from anybody.
Is that the longest game that you've ever been a part of?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt about that. It's, it was, at times, we had made our order in the bar for our food to come after the game, and it was sitting outside, and I told our guys, hey, it's out there if you guys need it. It's my wife makes fun of me because in the video of the recap, I'm saying, hey, we got chicken strips, guys. Do what you got to do, and but we just needed to get them food. They needed to be hydrated. They needed to, whatever it was going to take to keep them on task. That's what we needed to do. And there wasn't a lot of motivation outside of our leadership crew saying, hey, this is ours. And we've been focused on this. And those are the special times when you can lean back and you've got a 4-year captain like Zach Garrett and some of the other characters on our team that come forward and do, put their foot forward and say, hey, here's what we're going to do, and I'm going to put you on our back, and we're going to do everything we can to be disciplined and give us a chance to win, and that's the fun part. You see the hard work from all these kids, and it's every team that was there. Some had success, some didn't, but they had success getting there, and they had their moment in a regional tournament or something else, and everybody can look back and say what a great year each of those teams had.
We're joined here on the ACHA Power Play by Dan Huntley, the head coach of the University of Mary, defending Division II men's national champions. Dan, now we look forward to 2022/2023. My first question is, you guys have tasted success on a great level over the last 3 years. And this might be a dumb question, but obviously it's work to keep them focused. But now that you've won another title, some of the guys that are in, and maybe some of the new guys, is it difficult to keep them focused in the beginning of the year to kind of not look back or maybe look ahead to think, we're going to make it? Is it difficult to keep them focused?
I hope it won't be. I think that we've got 9 new guys, and we weren't expecting that. We were expecting to have 5. We had a couple kids say, hey, I've had a great career. I'm gonna go work and start a different part of my life. And so we've got some new kids filling some roles that weren't necessarily expected with a couple of juniors, 3rd-year guys that didn't come back. And so those opportunities are great for these new guys, but they also have to figure out how do they fit in, and how is our leadership team going to kind of form that culture of what we're doing in the locker room. And come Friday, we've been on the ice for 4 weeks, and we haven't played anybody yet, and so they're eager to get at another opponent and waiting. We're also on a 20-game win streak, and so there's something that's a school record for us, and we've had a couple 15s, and in our first year we came out of the blue, won our first 15 games, and during that time we beat Florida Gulf Coast, the defending champs, and at their place. So to do something like that was just phenomenal in that first year, and now we continue to do that, and we to win the national title we had to we got to 20, and that was something very special that group of guys last year. Now this group of guys can continue that and be part of it. So there's a lot of those things that we talk about, the history, the legacy, what it means. We'll celebrate with last year's team on Saturday afternoon. They'll get their rings at a championship rings at a dinner we have before our game on Saturday. We'll hang a banner up in our arena that showcases the championship, and then at 7/10, 2022 starts, and we will have to focus on that at that time. So we'll get rid of all the other stuff that's in line and all the old stuff, and now we start something new. And that's really kind of the focus of now, what is this team going to do? What the last 2 years they've won. Now this year's team is totally different, but there's a lot of the same guys, a lot of the same leadership. So how do they? What's their lasting legacy? And so those are things that we really kind of talk about and get after to keep our guys focused, because it's where do we go and how do we get through a couple injuries? What happens in that first loss? How do our guys respond? Those types of things are so important to building that tradition.
Now, you mentioned that you got 9 new guys coming in, but you got a good mix. You still, like you said, you got some veterans. Who are you going to lean on in the beginning of the year that's knows what it's like to get to the ultimate goal?
Well, you got our goaltenders, and I'm a firm believer that, we've got 2 of the best at the Division II level, maybe the top 2. The Swenson kid played really well last year for Florida. But if we had Kyle Hayden, and if we didn't have Kyle, we had Conan, and neither one of them lost a game in 2 national tournaments, and between them in their 3 years for Kyle, going into his 4th and going into Conan's 3rd year here, I think they've got 11 losses between the 2 of them.
Wow.
And so, that's our bread and butter. And through our 4 years now going into 5 has been our goaltending. We may be down a little bit defensively. I think our forwards are probably as strong as we've ever had up front. And we've got Alex Fleechek is one of our captains and all-time leading scorer back for his 5th year. And it's 254 points or something like that. So he's exciting to watch. He's just a guy that can put up numbers for us. And then when we need somebody to make a big hit, he's always the guy that makes that hit, and it's always the cleanest thing you've ever seen. You just go, wow, that was important. And then the game changes. It's ironic, that happens so quickly with him. Cushing has led us in goals scored the last 3 years. And so we expect him to do the same thing. We're getting a grad student back, Andy Huber, who has 117 points, 77 goals for us, is our 2nd in power play goals all time. He went and served in the National Guard last year and in Washington, D.C., and has come back to us for grad school for 2 years. And so we're lucky to have him, and he's a big body, just tougher than nails, and 6'3", 225. Just shoots like I don't know how. I mean, his wrist shot is harder than anything I've ever seen. Wow. Our goaltenders hate facing him in practice every day. And Johnny Witzke is our captain. In the last 2 years, I've thought that he's been the National Player of the Year, and he has won it neither time. And somebody else on our team has won it. I think that kind of shows you how deep we are. Where my kind of push was him both years, and Kyle Hayden won it last year, and Zach Garrett won it the year before. So we've got guys at every position that can do well, and so we'll see how we do this year. We got to figure that out, and I think we've got a really tough schedule. We've got 14 Division I games that we're playing, and 32 D2 games, I think, something like that. So it's a full schedule, and we're trying to be the best we can, put our guys up against the best competition so that they're ready come March, that we can try to defend and do something special.
That I'm glad you mentioned that about your schedule. That was going to lead up to my next question. And, I know you're transitioning. This is a year from now when you go D1, but I look at, you start out with Waldorf this weekend, I believe. And then, it's your place, Dan, has become almost a destination spot for some of the top teams in the country to come and play. You guys have become a measuring stick, and that's, my hat's off to you and your program for being able to do that. But wow, I see you got North Carolina State. You're going to play a D2 Power, Liberty, Florida Gulf Coast. I think you've got this year. It's 4
games with Lindenwood.
Oh boy. Yeah.
The Central is going to be different without Iowa State in there. Minnesota is going to be good this year. St. Thomas has been a top 5 team in the Central region the last couple of years. So we've got those teams. Dakota College, we'll play them 4 times again, and they were national semifinalists last year. Yeah. And then again our D1 schedule, we've got ranked in the D1 poll right now, 4 games against Minot, 2 games against Jamestown, 2 games against Midland, 1 game against Maryville. So we're not going and walking away and trying to, just play any Division I team so we can say we're playing them. We're playing teams in the top 25 because a year from now, that's where we expect to be. And so if we don't set that tone right now, we need to do that for this year's team, but we're doing it for next year's recruiting class. So they see, hey, these guys they are serious and they're trying to win, and they're going to make a run at something. And boy, there's some really good teams out there, that we're going to have a tough time with. That you look at the the UCOs and the Adrians and Liberties and Minots that we play, and UNLV getting Division I transfers. Those types of programs are what we're going to aspire to, and that's what we're trying to get to. But we've also got to focus on what we're doing right now, and those 32 games that lead up to the national tournament are the most important things in our schedule. The other games are just bonuses for us to play good, solid competition.
Dan, before I let you go too, you and I have talked on the show previously, on the shows you've been on with me, about I mentioned the hockey hotbed. I mentioned this before you came on. North Dakota, if you don't know, Minot State, University of Mary, Dakota College of Botano, Jamestown, it's the competition and the level of it is so intense. I keep saying I'm going to get out there and watch. I want to get out there so bad if I can find the time to get out there this winter. It's amazing to watch. And then that's why I think you've got teams that want to come up there and test themselves. It's so fun to read up every week, look at the stats, look at the scores, and it shows when you guys all are able to make it to the national tournament at all the divisions. It's great. It's fun to see.
There's certainly no love fest up here, but it's nice to play against each other and have great competition. But it's they're not they're fun games to play in, but they're not fun games to play in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And the rivalries are budding. Even though we haven't been around very long, and Minot's been around for 30 years, and we're on our 5th, and trying to figure out, how can we, best them, and they're trying to figure that out too. And we're so thankful to all those D1 programs from the first year to this year, and then into next year with the MCH, that they allowed us to move in and schedule us on a consistent basis, and give us the respect that says, hey, we know you're Division II. We know it doesn't count towards the national rankings and those things, but we still want to play because we know it's going to be a good game. And everybody's looking for good games, and you want to play the best schedule you can. And so we've been lucky and blessed to have some great people buy into what we're doing and give us an opportunity to showcase who we are, and that makes hockey better.
Well, Dan, I appreciate you taking time out tonight. I know you're getting ready, as you mentioned, for your first weekend. You've got some great ceremonies coming up to, as you said, raise the banner for the national championship. Always thankful that you're gracious with your time. Good luck this year. I'm sure I'll be talking to you after the first of the year. Again, thanks for joining us on the Power Play. Good luck this year.
I appreciate it. I like the new look. It looks great.
Yeah,
it's awesome. Good job.
All right. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks
we'll talk to you
Bye-bye.
soon. You bet. Bye-bye. Dan Huntley, the University of Mary head coach. They are getting ready to go for another campaign. D2, their last year in Division II, but they are the back-to-back defending Division II national champions as they look to get on their road to Boston. And then, as you mentioned, I'm going to just, before we try to get a hold of our next guest here, I just want to tell you again, their schedule. They talk about Dakota College of Botano. They were semifinalists in Division II. You've got Minot State in D1. Cincinnati is coming to town. They're usually always a power in Division II. They've made it to the semifinals before. Jamestown, Williston State College, Montana State. Just going down this list, Lindenwood, as we mentioned. It's, and then they play the University of Minnesota. Midland, St. Thomas. The Tommies are always good. Wow, it's just amazing. And so it's gonna, like we talked about. You want to go to a ACHA hockey hotbed, I invite you to go out there. And even though the games are intense, at least they're very fun to watch. And there's some quality hockey right there. out in North Dakota. All right, I'm going to do what we call a Russian roulette call right here. We'll see if we can get Tyler Cataline on the phone right now and see if we can talk a little CMU hockey here. The magic of live radio. Let's see if we can get him. Well, I thought maybe we could do it. Let's see maybe if he can. But we'll try again in a little bit. As again, want to thank Dan Huntley from the University of Mary for joining us, and we want to thank you, the viewer, for taking time out to be with us here tonight on the ACHA Power Play. Again, we're powered by Belly Up Sports and the Belly Up network of podcasts. Always gracious with us here with me. They've embraced me over the year, trying to a little bit of a transition here to get into the podcast scene. And I want to thank them very much. I want to thank the folks in the ACHA for letting us get the ACHA Power Play podcast back up and rolling here on just, to stay, more focused just on the ACHA. We're going to be doing this to start every other week through the month of October. Then once November hits, we'll go weekly here on the program. We're going to shoot for Tuesday nights every week like we used to do with the ACHA podcast back in the day. We're going to probably go with a 90-minute format. So let's now go back to the guest line and let's see if we can bring in the head coach of the University of Central Michigan University D3 program, Tyler Cataline. Tyler, how are you?
Good. How are you, Lou?
I'm fantastic, man. Hey, it sounds like your season's about ready to start Friday. First of all, how was your summer?
Yeah, it was a long summer. We skated a few times throughout the summer, but didn't see much of them. So spent it on the golf. I spent mine on the golf course, on the lake, and just relaxing. How was yours?
Mine was good. Very busy, work related and whatnot, but it's hockey season, so now it's playtime for me. Man, I get to sit back and watch you guys. You guys get to do all the work. All I got to do is talk about it, man, and that's
right.
That's gravy for me.
Right.
So that's interesting. How I wanted to segue into that for you. The recruiting, off-season recruiting. How difficult is that to do in the summertime, Tyler, or is it year round for you? Talk a little bit about that.
For me, I mean, I personally really don't go out to many hockey games, throughout the year because I'm so busy with ours.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my recruiting is done by my players. They're the ones that know a lot of the kids that are around their home areas and stuff, and they're the ones that actually do a lot of the recruiting, and then they'll contact me and, be like, hey, you need to reach out to this kid. And, and then we go from there and have them at our prospect skates and stuff like that. So, we held, I think, 3 prospect skates this summer, had good turnouts at all of them. So, now we're, 3 days away from playing our first game.
So before we get into that, I if you don't mind, I just want to talk a little bit back about you guys' tournament run. You were able to get to the Nationals and made a good showing in St. Louis. Obviously, you didn't get to where you wanted to be into the Final Four or to the championship game, but you guys had a good run. Nothing to be ashamed about in that showing, but I think it gave some of the kids a little bit of a taste of what it's like to get there and maybe what they have to do to get to the next level.
Yeah. We had a great run last year. Hope deserved to win that.
Yeah.
They've been a phenomenal team in this league for years and years and years, and well coached and well disciplined, and we gave it our best shot against them in the last game of the round robin, and took them to overtime.
Yeah.
So we're happy about that. The loss hurt, but the guys are hungry for this season. They're ready to go. Every skate, like I said, this summer, every guy was there besides 2 or 3 of the guy returners.
Wow.
Because they'd be out of town or out of state, working somewhere. So our guys are hungry. I mean, we're getting ready to get on the ice here in a little bit, and I mean, we're 2 hours away from practice, and guys are already at the rink, stretching and doing everything. I mean, they're taking this season very serious.
It's one of the things, Tyler, that I touched on a little bit in the first half hour of the show. One of the things I like about the ACHA is the dedication that these kids have, because these guys are going to college to study first, and well, at least they're supposed to study first and play second. Yeah. And you talk about they're going to be they skate later on at night, and so their organization skills, their dedication, that it just never ceases to impress me and amaze me of how disciplined these kids are. And they've got to be smart kids to be able to keep that up and keep their grades going and this and that. It's just, that's what I like about it.
Yeah. I mean, that's my main thing. I mean, they're here to go to school. I mean, they're here to get education. I've had like 2 or 3 guys miss, in the first like 2 weeks because, some freshmen, kind of getting into the routine of, all right, hey, I got class. All right, now I got study. And then, all right, I got, practice late at night. So, I mean, it takes them a few weeks, to adjust. But, I mean, my upperclassmen have been really good with helping my, incoming freshmen about making sure they're getting to school. They're driving my freshmen to classes and stuff like that. So, and like you said, I mean, it takes a lot of dedication. These guys not only pay for school, but they have to pay for hockey here at Central and stuff like that, and and housing and food and all that stuff. I mean, they're very dedicated to this program in school.
We're joined by Tyler Cataline, the head coach of Central Michigan's Division III men's program. Successful run for them last year, looking to take that next step. Let's talk about some of those kids. Give me some of the leaders to look for this year, Tyler, on your roster.
Well, I mean, we got a great set of captains. Charlie Hayes, Christopher Martin's taking over. I mean, he had a great person to look up to with Brendan Martin, his older brother. So, I mean, that was a big part of this program for years. Keelan Martin not Keelan Martin. Keelan's going to be a big person for us. Keegan Moore is going to be another one. I mean, we got a lot of upperclassmen, this year that are going to need to step up because they got some big shoes to fill after, losing some good role models last year. It was Brendan Martin and, Thomas Rofi, the goalie, stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing, what this team can actually do when, we start games this weekend.
Why is the MCHC so damn tough? What makes it so there? You get 3, sometimes 4 teams in the Final Four in the Nationals each year. What is the difference? What is, you don't have to tell me all your secrets, but what is the difference? Why is it such a dominant conference in Division III?
I mean, Michigan's just a good hockey state.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it doesn't matter what school you go to or in the state of Michigan for college. I mean, Division I, II, or III. I mean, you're going to be on a really good team because you're playing in the state of Michigan. And the MCHC, I mean, don't get me wrong, the players, work their butts off, but the coaches in the MCHC, I mean, are great coaches.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Chris and, Don and, the list can go on. And, they get the respect from their players, and they're just, the coaches are just as dedicated as the players are. I mean, the MCHC works very hard to be the top program, top league in the, ACHA.
And Tyler, one of the things, I was looking at your schedule, and I was talking to Dan Huntley from University of Marion from the D2 side, and I think the same kind of holds true for you guys. Is when they see this conference, teams want to play it. So I see you got Florida Gulf Coast and just another tough non-conference schedule as well
Yep.
to get you guys battle tested for hopefully another run in 2022-23 and maybe get to Boston.
Yeah, I mean, we got 6 teams on our schedule this year that were at nationals last year. I mean, we got Notre Dame, we got Florida Gulf Coast, and then the MCHC team. So yeah, we got 6 teams that are, got that taste of nationals last year, and we got to play them this year, which is great. I mean, I think that helps our program out. See where we're at, especially right off the bat when in 2 weeks or 3 weeks we got Florida Gulf Coast, we got we're going to Notre Dame for 2 games. I mean, we got a good stretch of hockey games coming up right off the bat.
So who do you open up with this weekend? Ferris, is that who it is?
Yeah, we got 1 game against Ferris this weekend, just Friday night. Then we got Lake Superior State next weekend, then Cleary the following weekend. Cleary University, they're starting a Division III program this year. So, I don't know what they're going to be like, but I know how hard it is to start a new program, as I did this, 11 years at Central. So, if there's new ACHA Division III teams, I know it's hard to schedule teams and games and stuff like that. So I try to help teams out as much as possible.
So on a lighter note, what's your handicap on the golf course?
I finished with a 2 this year.
Well, I was going to say you and I should hook up for a round of golf before the snow flies, but I'm an old guy and my handicap's not quite a 2. How many are you going to spot me?
We'll see. We'll see after the first tee shot.
Well, one thing you'll notice about my golf game is you'll never see another backswing like mine. It's about as fast as somebody's 90-mile-an-hour slap shot. So
kind of got that Charles Barkley swing.
Well, it's not as disjointed. It's just quick. It's just quick. Yeah, I see how you posted how you played quite a bit this summer. Is that kind of your release when things are tough, maybe coaching or with your job?
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, the league that I play in is a lot of people that live out at the lake. I mean, it's nice with where I live. I got the house right on the lake, and then I go across the street and there's a 27-hole golf course right there. So be on the lake, go golfing every morning, and then by afternoon I'm on the lake. So
wow, life is good.
Can't
man.
complain.
Not at all.
Can't complain.
Well, hey, I know you want to get going and get ready for practice tonight because you got a game in 3 days. Tyler, I appreciate you taking time out on such short notice to come on the program. We got the ACHA Power Play back. You're on the first show. We used to do this all the time exclusively for a few years. Glad you're back on it. And good luck, man. Hope to have you back on again maybe after the first of the year. We'll get an update on how the Chips are doing. Thank you.
Hey, anytime. Thank you, Lou. You have a great one.
All right. You too. Thanks, Tyler. Tyler Catalan, the head coach of Central Michigan's D3 squad here on the ACHA Power Play. And again, Central's, they've come a long way with the program, and it was fun to watch them. But, we talk about the MCHC in Division III. And, yeah, I know I'm a little biased being from the state of Michigan and watching it quite a bit. But the proof is in the pudding. I think teams from the North region have won the last, 12 national championships. Sioux College won in 2019, but they were, again, from the North region. But, it's just until somebody can knock them off. I know Arkansas did their best getting to the championship game 2 years ago and last year getting to the Final Four. But it's the premier division or premier conference in Division III. And Central Michigan story is fun. I remember back in 2016, the first nationals that I broadcast live, they were, it was improbable for them to get there, and they made the run. And I remember the last game to get into the pool play, I think they won 7-6 in overtime. They scored with a second left. And they made that monster Final Four with Oakland, with Aquinas, Calvin, and Oakland ended up winning that one back when they were a power in Division III. So, and then Central made it back in 2018 to the Final Four as well. And they're looking to get back there. They're familiar with it. The program is familiar with it. They've built a tradition along with a lot of the other teams in the MCHC. You mentioned Chris Van Timmeren and Hope College. They're always, it seems like, in the national tournament. They're another team. They don't win very easily once they get there. You know, I always see Chris Van Timmeren on the side after a game, and he's like, Lou, don't even say it. I know. One of these days we'll make it so I can breathe a little easier after a game. But, you know, they're the standard bearer too. Hope is the defending national champions in Division III. And I know at one point during the year, we will have Chris Van Timmeren on, because he is always gracious with his time here on the ACHA Power Play and all the other shows that I've done. So, well, hey, that's going to be a wrap here tonight. Our initial show of the ACHA Power Play, episode number 1, is in the books. Want to thank Dan Huntley from the University of Mary for joining us on the program. Great conversation with him. They get ready to defend their crown as the D2 back-to-back national champions, as they start out with Waldorf this weekend. Of course, they have their ring ceremony and the unveiling of their championship banner. Those are always fun to be a part of. I want to thank Tyler Cataline, head coach of Central Michigan. They're a force that's going to be reckoned with in D3. I can guarantee you. They've been close, real close. They know what it's like to get to that level. And I know they're going to be a tough out for anybody. And they're going to be right there. They're going to have a say in it once March rolls around in the national championship tournament in Boston. The road to Boston has started. And we're part of it here on the ACHA Power Play. That's going to do it. We'll see you in a couple of weeks with another edition of the ACHA Power Play. Again, you can see this on the achahockey.org website, and also check out my YouTube channel, the Captain Lou Sports Network. All these shows will be on there as well. You can take a watch to it and a listen to it. Captain Lou saying, keep your heads up, keep your feet moving, keep your sticks down, but as always, keep your minds open. Thanks, everybody, for joining us tonight here on the ACHA Power Play. We'll see you soon. Have fun at the rink. Good night, everybody.